All right. So, welcome everybody to the credit education webinar. My name is Claycy Hope, and I am a credit improvement specialist. And my company's name is Each One Teach One Financial. My company website is eachoneteachonefinancial.com. And my motto, basically what I go by or represent anyhow, and hope for are to learn, implement, and teach. So with this business or just with this information, I would hope that you all would learn it as I learned it and then implement it as I implemented it. And then once you get your handle on it and you kind of get familiar and comfortable with the information, if you would pay it forward and teach people around you, teach family, teach friends, anything, any nuggets that you might pick up or information, teach it to someone that you love or care about, especially our younger generation, because credit, finances, these just aren't things that are taught in schools. They're not taught in churches, and a lot of times they're not taught at home. So a lot of times the only way we learn from this, we learn about credit education is when we mess up, and then we have to learn the hard way. So can everybody hear me? Can someone come off mute to just let me know that you can see my screen and that you can hear me talking?
I can hear you and I can see your screen.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to give you a little background on how I basically got started in credit repair. What happened with me was I applied for an apartment. I got denied. I was living in a rough neighborhood. I was living off of Highland Avenue, up the hill, off of Home Avenue. Anyhow, and I wanted to just, and I had a son, had Day while I was living there, and it was fine for just me. But once I had my child, I just kind of wanted a more play-friendly, neighborhood environment. Applied for, a place and got denied. I got denied for the apartment. And pretty much that was a horrible feeling, not being able to just pick up and relocate, to somewhere better for your child. It's funny what your kids will push you to do. You may not do certain things for yourself, but when it comes to your kids and just your loved ones, you're more motivated. You have a why as to, how to reach that. So anyhow, got denied, went ahead and just researched, I researched and I self-educated myself. And I eventually got to the level of being comfortable enough to start working on my credit profile. As time passed, negative accounts fell off along with positive credit building, my scores increased. Then I started to help family and friends achieve their goals. I developed a passion for credit in the credit industry. And as you guys know me, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. And so I went ahead, I joined a network marketing business to further my education. And that company also offered a DIY, a do-it-yourself credit credit program. So as I was promoting this credit, the do-it-yourself program, I was getting so many requests from people like, oh, hey, you do credit repair? I'm like, well, I have a program, I have a product. And they're like, great, yeah, I want you to repair my credit for me, where do I sign or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't do the credit myself. I have this credit repair do-it-yourself program or, kit, that I do have that I'm selling for this company that I'm working through. And they were like, oh, no, I don't want to do it myself. I want you to do it, walked away. So I started turning down so many people that wanted me to do their credit for me. I was loyal to the company and I was like, I just want to sell the kit. It was like a $99 kit and they gave me half and they took half. So I was just making $50 a sale for the do-it-yourself kit. And I liked the do-it-yourself kit because I say, hey, well, when you learn this yourself, you'll be able to help people. I've always had that one, you'll be able to help people, teach additional people, how to do the same thing that you're doing. Anyhow, I just kept turning people down left and right. I had built up a client base without even realizing it for credit repair. So after so many times turning people down, it clicked for me. And I decided, let me go ahead and open my own company and, kind of parted ways with the network marketing company that I was in, and went ahead and officially, filed for and started my business. Each One Teach One Financial. The rest is history. And here we are today. Um, all right, so some of the topics that we're going to cover tonight are we're going to cover the good, we're going to cover the bad, and we're going to cover the ugly. We're going to cover percentage chart, which is basically what percentages make up your credit score. We're going to cover collections versus charge-offs. A lot of people don't know that there is a difference between the two. We're going to cover authorized users. We're going to cover credit cards versus debit cards. We're going to cover the difference between the due date and the statement date. We're going to cover, I'm going to suggest some starter credit cards that I know they're pretty much 100% guaranteed approvals. We're also going to talk about what a credit profile is versus what a credit score is. I'll tell you guys what the ideal credit profile is. There's some good news that just came out as of July 1st regarding medical bills. So I'm going to give you guys the update on that. Also, there's different scoring. There's different scores. There's different FICO scores. So we're going to be covering kind of, just a general what the different FICO scores are, depending on, basically what you're applying for, what that company will be using, what scoring system they'll probably be using to check and look into your credit. We're going to go a little into student loans. A lot of these topics could go really deep. We're going to talk about how to get the process started. If you do have any collections, charge-offs, evictions, bankruptcies, repos, any negative items on your credit report that you want to get removed. And then we're also going to talk about bankruptcies. I don't see it on the slide, but I know I made a slide for it. So we're also going to cover just a little bit, just scratch the surface as far as bankruptcies are concerned. So the first slide here is our percentage chart. And the credit score range is from 300 to 850. And the payment history makes up for the largest part of the chart, and that's 35%. And you could get up to 192.5 points toward your credit score just from payment history alone. There's credit utilization, like myself and Uncle Ronnie were talking about, and I said it is all a matter of what your credit card balance is and what your credit card limit is. That's how we figure out what your utilization is. And so that's the credit card utilization, and that's 165 points of your maximum of 165 can go towards your credit score. Also credit age. We were also talking about credit age before we got started. And if you reconsolidate, then you will restart or lose credit age. So credit age is 15% of your credit score, and you can get up to 82.5 points toward from your credit age. Inquiries, that's 10% of your score. So 55 points goes in, you can get up to 55 points in inquiries. Basically, the less inquiries you have 55 points, and then the more inquiries you have, it pulls away from those inquiries. But we'll get, I believe we'll get more into inquiries. Inquiries are really short. Basically, inquiries are worth about 2 to 5 points each. And there are soft inquiries. There's soft inquiries or soft pulls and hard pulls. Soft pulls, say you check your credit yourself. I have a lot of people sometimes when I'm telling them they need to set up for credit monitoring so that I can do the consultation, they're afraid to sign up for credit monitoring because they don't want to pull their credit because they feel like it's an inquiry and it's going to take points away from their credit. But soft pulls do not count against your credit. You could personally have a credit monitoring system and you could check your credit 5-10 times a day or 5-10 times a week, whatever you want to do, and it doesn't hurt your credit at all. It doesn't count toward inquiries. Also, sometimes collection agencies and also credit card companies, they do soft pulls as well, and it doesn't hurt your score when they're trying to see where you're at, or they're trying to see if they can offer you a credit card. Basically, those are soft pulls and they don't hurt your credit score. And then the last thing is credit mix, and that makes up for 10% of your credit score. You can get 55 points as well from credit mix. And the credit mix, the difference there's installment loans, and then there's revolving credit. And we'll get into that as we go on. All right, so we're going to talk here about basically the ideal credit profile. For those of you that don't know, well, what should I have? Should I have 9 cards? Should I have 1 credit card? Some people say, they come to me and they say, oh, no, I don't have credit cards. I don't do credit cards because I know that messes your credit up. Well, you have to have credit cards in order to build credit and also to have a higher credit score. If you don't have credit cards, then banks really don't know. They don't have anything to go on to see, whether they can trust you for your credit worthiness or your paying back worthiness. And so it's not the credit cards that mess people up. It's the people putting the charges on the credit card that they can't afford to pay back. That's what's messing them up. I know someone that's getting upset because they continue to get credit increases automatically that they didn't ask for. And they think that they have an issue with the bank for doing that. Those credit increases are helping your utilization because now you have more move space. So your utilization is going down, but this person has to go shopping and they have to feel like if they have $100 available, they got to spend, $90. So as their credit, as their limit increases, their balance is going up because they're spending more because they can, and they're upset at the credit card companies for that. That's a credit card companies actually giving you a hand, giving you rewarding you by giving you more of a limit, but you're messing it up by spending on it, by maxing it out. It's not the credit card. Okay, so there's 2 credit cards. You need at least 2 credit cards on your reporting, and they're called trade lines, credit cards. Installment loans are trade lines. When you hear the term trade line, it's just an active reporting account that's reported on your credit report. So you need at least 2 credit cards, and one of those can be a charge card. There's a slide coming up that's talking about the difference between credit cards, debit cards, and charge cards. But I'll let you know right now, a charge card is like a JCPenney's card, Macy's card, a Sam's Club card, just a card that you can only spend at that business or that company. That's a charge card. A credit card, it's got the Visa, MasterCard. You can basically, use it to purchase anything you want. Also, you need 1 short-term installment and you need 1 long-term installment. Now, short-term installment is anything 24 to 36. The things are changing every day, but a short-term installment is anything lower than 24 months. And then a long-term installment is anything longer than 24 months. So for instance, some installment loans that I have are like my home security system. That's an installment loan. It's a long-term installment loan because I believe it might be for 3 years. So it's over 24 months. A short-term installment loan could be any loan that you get that's going to be, the term is going to be for under 24 months. And I'll talk more toward the end when I get to recommendations, because we'll also have a recommended short-term installment loan company that's really great. And your credit utilization, the ideal is between 1% and 9%. And a lot of times people think it's, oh yeah, I know I need to get my utilization to 30%. 30% is not goals at all. That's what the banks tell you, because the more balance you have, the more interest that they get to charge you. So they're not really being honest with you when they tell you, oh, at least get it to 30%, because you're still holding more of a balance, so they're able to charge you more. When we get down a little bit further, I'll let you know about how you can pay 0 interest. Okay, we're here on student loans. So student loans, I'll go over a couple of examples of how student loans help your credit, and then a couple of examples of how student loans hurt your credit. So student loans help your credit score by reporting on-time payments. That goes toward the payment history that we talked about in one of the beginning slides. I have most of us, if you went to school or, you took out loans when you were pretty young. I think I took my loans out, straight when I graduated high school and went straight over to City College. I took student loans out immediately. So my student loans is helping my credit age, my payment history and credit age, because I've had them since I was 18 years old or 19 years old. So anyhow, it also adds to your credit mix because it's an installment loan. Obviously, it's a long-term installment loan because it's more than 24 months. And the way that a student loan can hurt your credit score is your score could drop when you pay off your loan early, or you may want to remove your late payment, your student loan. A lot of people say, "Oh, I got student loans. I got student loans. I need the student loans off." The student loans are actually helping your credit report, believe it or not, because again, you're getting credit for payment history, and you get payment for credit age, and you get credit for payment mix, all credit mix, all from that one loan. Now, when you close the loan, when you pay it off, then that is, again, is going to hurt you because you're going to lose the credit age and credit mix, so on and so forth. And paying your loan late, paying anything late really is going to hurt your score almost more than anything else. Just one late payment alone, it could be anywhere from 48 to 100 points that you could lose by making one late payment, and it takes 11 on-time payments to make up for the damage that one late payment did. So you definitely don't want to pay anything late. And also understand that late is 30 days plus. So if your credit card bill is due on the 1st and you paid on the 2nd or the 5th or the 15th or even the 29th, all you're going to get is, well, not all you're going to get, but you're going to get a late payment from the credit card company, but it's not going to go on your credit report until after that 30th day. So if you are a few days behind, there's still hope. Don't give up and say, well, I'm already late. My credit's already messed up. No, you still have time. You have until the 29 days. On the 30th day and after, they can legally report it. So you can still save accounts, that haven't been paid for under 30 days. All right. Now, this is one of my favorites, talking about the due date versus the statement date. Okay. Now, the due date. Now, that is the date that obviously your credit card is due. That's a date that's on your credit card statement. And that is the date that the banks use to calculate how much interest they're going to charge you. So when I told you a couple of slides back, I'll let you know how you can pay zero interest. If you can, if your balance isn't too much, out of reach for you, you can play the credit game. You could play to win, where you cannot pay the bank's interest and still use their cards to get positive reporting and credit points toward your credit score. So what you do is you pay your credit card down on the due date. You can pay your card down to zero. And then if there's zero on the due date, there's zero if they're going to charge you an interest because you don't have a balance. Now, the statement date is usually about 3 to 5 days after the due date. And on the statement date, you do not want to carry a zero balance, because if you have a zero balance, then you're going to get 0 points towards your credit score. So what you want to do is you want to just charge something small a day or two before your statement date, as long as it's in this window here. I should have put that here, that window there. But anyways, after the due date, but before the statement date, go ahead and charge something, put a small charge. Under 9%, under 10% is good. Between 1 and 3% is great. 0%, if you completely pay it off on your due date and you forget to charge something by your statement date, then it's like that month you didn't get any points towards your credit score that month. Yeah, and you can also negotiate or ask them to move around your statement date. So, because my statement dates are quite close to my due date, so it's a challenge, but I make it a priority. But it's a challenge for me to remember I got to get something paid, in that small window. But if it's a priority to you, like, anything, if it's important enough to you, you'll do it. You'll set your alarms. You'll make your notes on your calendar. You'll do what you have to do so that you can get the job done. Medical bills. Now this, I was going to let me see if I could pull the article up here. Late payments, we haven't got there. Let me see if I can get okay, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share this article by CNBC that as of July 1st, what says here, settled medical debts is now dropping off credit reports. And basically, any medical debts that are settled or paid, but just because you pay a collection or a charge off, that doesn't mean it comes off your credit report. I get a lot of people that's like, oh, I paid my collections and they're still on there. Paying it doesn't take them off. There's two parts to that. So anyhow, so you can pay your medical debt or your medical bill, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be removed from your credit report unless you negotiate a pay for delete through the collection agency, which is another topic. But anyhow, so all settled debts, medical debts, will be dropping off credit reports. Also, any medical debt that is under $500 will be coming off your credit reports. So anybody with $499 or less in medical debts, those accounts are going to be coming off your credit reports. They've started it as of July 1st, and they're thinking it's going to take up into the beginning of 2023, or the middle of 2023, before they've got all the billions and billions and millions of, actually it's 88 billions of people that have medical collections on their credit report. What did we just come out from? The pandemic. There are a lot of people that have, obviously, more people went in the hospital during 2020 than any year before, possibly just because of the pandemic. So there's all these medical bills. You might have a medical bill for $5 on your credit report, and you might have a medical bill for $500 on your credit report, but it doesn't matter if it's $5 or $500. It does not make a difference. It still hurts you the same. So that's great news. And then the third piece to this new news is that starting July 1st, any future medical bills that you get, they will not go on your credit report for 1 year. So you have 12 months from when the incident happens, and you have 12 months from when it goes into collections till it actually goes on your credit report. So you have that much time, if it's under $500, that you can hopefully pay it and prevent it from going to your report. Okay, late payments, I kind of mentioned earlier. One late payment will need 11 on-time payments to recover from the damage. Late payments are one of the hardest items to get removed. Number one way to avoid late payments is to set up automatic payments and auto pay. And I'll say one more thing about how hard the late payments are. A lot of times it's easier for me to get an entire account removed than it is just to get a late payment. But one late payment is kind of promising to get off, but multiple late payments, especially if they are sporadic versus being consecutive in a row, January, February, and March, we can kind of say, okay, it's going through hard times at this time, January, February, March, write a nice, letter to the CEO, letting them know, of the troubles you were having during that time period. It's more promising that the payments will get removed. But when you have one late January, then on-time March, on-time February, on-time March, late April, late May, on-time June, late July, when they're scattered, that's pretty hard. It's pretty challenging to get removed. All right. We'll go over bankruptcy quickly. Bankruptcy. So bankruptcy isn't something that somebody should just run to. Like, oh, I'm just going to claim, file bankruptcy. The only reason you should ever file, is if you have assets that you need to protect, like homes, cars, and losing that property could pretty much devastate your life, your living situation. But we'll talk. Chapter 7 stays on your credit report for 10 years. It's pretty much like a complete liquidation of assets. So usually debts have to outweigh your income, or your debts have to outweigh your income, and individuals and business entities can file a Chapter 7. Chapter 13 stays on for 7 years. And that's pretty much a reorganization where you get to keep your house, keep your car. You're basically going to be paying off debts for less time. I'm sorry, for less amount than it was. You're going to have more time to pay those same debts back. And you can also get liens removed when you are in the bankruptcy, when you file bankruptcy, and the harassment stops when you file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy can also stop repossessions. There's tax liens as well. Tax liens can stay on your credit report for 10 years. Judgments can also stay on your credit report for 10 years. All right, credit cards versus debit cards versus charge cards. I talked a little bit earlier about what a charge card when I mentioned the cards that you can only use at a Macy's or at a JCPenney's or at Burlington, for instance. Those are charge cards. And when we talk a little bit back about the ideal credit profile, when I say you need to have at least 2 credit cards, you can't have 2 charge cards. One of those 2 credit cards needs to be an actual credit card with a Visa or MasterCard that you can, charge anywhere. So credit cards are something that from this day forward, if you guys don't take anything else from this webinar tonight, really pay attention to this, how evil debit cards are. Stop using your debit card, okay? Stop using your debit cards. Basically, it would be awesome for you to, if you don't already have, and I even have a starter card that gives you points back, that gives you rewards. It's much better to do your everyday charges on your credit card because you get multiple benefits. When you make a purchase on your debit card, no matter how large or how small, you don't get any benefits. When you make a purchase on your credit card, you get rewards if you have a reward credit card. If you don't have a reward credit card, look into getting a reward credit card. If your credit is shaky and you need like a starter card, get with me, or if I have it on the slide, I know of a secure card, a secure card that offers cash back. I just started doing this method a couple of months ago, and I already have over $100 in rewards points from everyday purchases, things that I would have bought anyways, gas, food, nothing extra, just the regular stuff that I was already buying. Instead of buying it on a debit card, put those charges on your credit card. Now you got to pay them back. But if you already had your money in your bank account and you were going to slide your debit card, just go ahead and slide your credit card and make those payments. You don't have to wait till your due date. If you don't want to, get your credit card balance up so high, and then you start using your bank account, and then you don't have any money to pay your card back, because remember, we don't want our utilization to get high. You can make that charge on your credit card, and you can later on that night or the next day, or even right then, go ahead and make a payment to your credit card for that same amount. Making multiple payments to your credit cards throughout the month helps you. Credit cards like when you make a lot of charges on your card. They like when you use their card, and they'll go ahead and you'll start getting automatic credit increases and so on and so forth. So don't be afraid to make multiple payments per month. Don't be afraid to stop using your debit card and start using your credit card so you can get money back. It's basically free money. Using your debit card, it's just throwing money out the window. I have one more story for credit cards. I'll show you how powerful it is. I went to Maui earlier this year in January, and my boyfriend got the tickets with his points. So we paid a total of, I guess, $12 or $14 a ticket because of all the points that he had racked up by using his credit card for everyday charges instead of his debit card. We got our flight pretty much for free. That's not even the taxes. The taxes would have been even more than that. So you definitely want to go ahead and start using your credit card to build up those travel points, cash back. They have different options. They'll send you a check for the amount. You can cash it out for travel points to fly or book hotels or a car, or you can put it towards your bill. You can send it back to them. But don't sleep on credit cards and just get the debit cards. It's a bad habit. Okay, collections versus charge-offs. So collections is basically, it is an account that is sold from an original creditor to a collection agency or to a debt buyer. Collections are a lot easier to get removed from a credit report because a lot of times the collection agency does not have the original contract. They never had an agreement. Let's say it's called ERC. That's a collection agency that comes to the top of my head. If ERC is sending you collection letters saying, hey, you owe us $2,900, for a debt that you have with Verizon, and how would you like to pay? Here are the payment options. Well, legally, you never had a contract to pay ERC anything. So technically, collections are a lot easier to get basically removed. And there's a dunning period. A dunning period is basically, I'm sorry, I don't have the example of a collection letter up, but this is my first. Bear with me, but I'll perfect it. But anyhow, so there's a dunning period with collections, which basically means when you get that initial credit, you get that initial collection letter, and it says, if we don't hear from you within, X amount of date. No, if we do hear from you by just say July 18th. If we do hear from you by July 18th, we cannot put this on your credit report. We cannot continue collection activity until we have validated and proved that this debt to be yours. So that's a great time to go ahead and challenge those accounts so that they don't hit your credit report. And it's also the best time to go ahead and make the payment to the company if you can, because you have a lot more leverage to negotiate the price when a collection is not on your credit report. Once it's already on the report, they're going to be like, oh, it's already on there. So they're going to kind of be like, you need me, I don't need you. So they're going to want, more. And if you do negotiate a collection account, you could go down, start at like 1/3. Okay. Because they bought that, and say it's $100, say it's $100 collection, they probably bought it for $1 or $2. They buy it on pennies on the dollar. So, because they buy them in bulk. So if they pay for that collection $1 or $2, and you offer $30, you don't think they're going to take it? They're going to act like they're not. They're going to act like you owe them, like they're out that whole 100. But just be armed with the knowledge that they bought the account on pennies on the dollar. You don't have it. This is the most you can come up with, but try to get that debt taken care of if you can during the dunning period before it hits your credit report. And if it gets to your credit report or it's already on your credit report, holler at your girl. I got you. Okay, so a lot of times they may send you some letters to make you think that that they are that they have the right to collect on it, but the only way that they can validate the debt is by having something that has your signature on it. Sending something that has your signature on it. And we're talking about collections when I say they or an original signed contract, or a letter from the original creditor that the collection agency now owns the debt. They don't usually have those things. So, and then a charge-off is more difficult. Sorry, I didn't complete my notes on it, but a charge-off is more difficult than a collection, because a charge-off is still with the original creditor. And so 9 times out of 10, they do still have that original signed contract. They do have your signature. Usually the original creditor, they still have more because they haven't sold it over to that third party that doesn't have anything other than your name, address, phone number, and the balance you owe. And they try to put that on a letter and really make it into something. But anyhow, charge-offs are they're a lot more challenging than collections, but they can also be deleted as well. They get deleted every day. It's just a different process. All right, authorized users. So a good tip would be to add kids to your credit cards as soon as when they're 17 and a half years old, And the reason for that is because it takes about 6 months of an account reporting before a credit score is generated. So if you want to go ahead and put the kids when they're, I mean, you can put it on sooner, if you want, but it's really, before this, 6 months before they're 18, that would kind of be the best setup. If you put them on it when they're actually 18, they're going to lose 6 months of credit age that they could have got. Annualcreditreport.com. This is a website that you can go to. Everybody should go to annualcreditreport.com. You have access to your credit reports. You need to go ahead and get on there and order all through your credit reports and see what's going on with your credit reports. Even if you have good credit, in the beginning of the call, my uncle mentioned his credit score was in the high 7s. That is great, but still pull your credit report. It's free. Pull your credit report. You may still have room for more. Higher credit score, the better your profile, the better your interest rate, which results in you paying less on things over the lifetime of your loans. Okay, there's different credit scores. There is the FICO 8. FICO 8 is the most popular credit score used. Mortgages, your mortgage scores are pulled by the FICO 2, 4, and 5. And then there is a new credit scoring system that has just hit the streets and hit the companies, and it's called the FICO 10T. And the FICO 10T is trouble, guys. It's trouble. It really is, because right now, when a creditor pulls your credit report, they can only see what your current utilization is from your last statement date. When FICO 10T, when companies start adapting FICO 10T, when they start using FICO 10T, they're going to be able to look back 24 months at your utilization. So another thing you could take away from this webinar, in addition to using a credit card instead of a debit card, if you don't take anything else, take from this that going from this day forward, put yourself in a position that if you go to buy something in 2 years from now, and they happen to pull FICO 10T, you get approved because you knew about this, and you can't control your utilization that happened last month in the 24 months before, but you can try. If your balances aren't too high, you can try to control and get ahead of, get a grip of your balances and try to get your utilization down, because they're gonna start using that against us. They're going to start using that against us. And basically, I think a lot of companies are going to try to use this FICO 10T because it's going to allow them to charge us a higher interest, because most of us have had bad high utilizations in the last 24 months. Some people, we've been living off our credit cards. We've been trying to survive. Everybody's, losing their jobs and, just trying to make ends meet. You use your credit card for gas, for food, just trying to survive. And now of all times, they're going to go back the last 24 months. So we can't do anything about the past, but you guys are armed with the knowledge now. So going forward, try to keep that utilization, let it report on that statement date as low as humanly possible, even if that means putting money that you have to spend for your gas, for your food that you might need to buy next week or 2 or 3 weeks. Put that money on your credit card so your utilization can be down when that statement date reports. Have that balance down as low as possible. And then the next day after that statement date, go do what you got to do. Buy your food, buy your gas, buy what you have to with your credit card. There's only one day a month that the credit bureaus know what your balance is and what your utilization is, and that's the statement date. The other 29 days, do what you got to do. But just get it back down before that next statement date. You can find your statement date. Your statement date is going to be the last day in your, on your cycle, your billing cycle. And the way you can find it, a lot of times it's on the top right-hand corner of your credit card bill. At the last date, that's your closing date. That's your statement date. That's the date that they report to the credit bureaus what your balance is, which calculates your utilization, which, as we went over earlier, is a majority of your credit score. So finally, I'm just going to mention, I think this is my last slide. Yeah. Last thing I'm going to do is just let you guys know if anybody does have any collections, charge off, evictions, repossessions, bankruptcies, any derogatory, negative, if late payments. If you have those things on your credit report and you need help getting those removed, be sure to reach out to me. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Number one, you just book a consultation. Number two, and you could just text consultation or email consultation. However you got on this webinar, just contact those same email address or phone number to say you're interested in a consultation, and I'll send you the link. You can book a consultation. The consultation is absolutely free. You just need to set up for credit monitoring. I'll send you that link once your consultation is booked. Just within 24 hours of your consultation, sign up for credit monitoring. And I partnered with Smart Credit right now, and they have, I've been partnered with them for many years, but it used to be, it doesn't matter what it used to be. Right now, you can get access to your credit report for 7-day trial for only $1. So you only have to pay $1. Your consultation is free. You pay $1 to get your credit monitoring. You send me your login username, which would be your email address, and you send me your password. And then I'll go ahead and I'll put your free complimentary analysis together. Your analysis is going to have a lot of credit education and information on it, along with your detailed breakdown of your accounts. And when we do the consultation, we do it on a Zoom. I share my screen with you, and I basically go line by line by line and let you know what I would do with those accounts if you were to, take my services on. If you want to go forward with services, it's $199 to start, and then it's $99 a month, 30 days after the first round of letters are sent out. Not $199 plus $99 at first. $199 to start, 30 days later, $99 a month. And that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, stop the recording, and open up for questions.
Chris was asking about piggybacking off of credit.
Okay, just give me one moment here. Stop recording. Piggybacking is the same thing as authorized user. Let me see. Where's everybody at? That's the same thing. It's adding somebody as an authorized user. So what is his question exactly?